The world is full of mysteries. I've seen my fair share deep in the jungle, high on a mountain peak. But some mysteries are bigger than any one place. They stretch across time itself. What if I told you that thousands of years ago, our planet had visitors? Not from across the sea, but from across the stars. Imagine it. The night sky is black, no city lights to spoil the view. Suddenly a new star appears. It glows, it moves, it descends. For the people on the ground, hunter-gatherers and early farmers, this would be a world-changing event. It's a wild thought, I know, but stick with me. We're heading into the unknown, and you need to keep your wits about you. This isn't just a campfire story. All over the globe, there are clues, strange artifacts that don't fit. Massive structures that seem impossible for their time. Ancient texts that speak of powerful beings coming down from the heavens. People look at these things and ask a simple question. How? How did they do it? Were our ancestors more brilliant than we give them credit for? Or did they have a helping hand? First stop, the desert. Egypt. The sun beats down hard here. It's a tough environment. Survival is key. And out here, rising from the sand, are the Great Pyramids of Giza. They are immense, truly massive. We're told they were built as tombs for the pharaohs, constructed with simple tools and human muscle. Thousands of workers, they say, dragged millions of stone blocks, some weighing as much as a truck, and stacked them nearly 500 feet high. It's an incredible feat of engineering, no doubt about it. But could they really have done it with just copper chisels and ropes? That's the question that hangs in the dry desert air. Think about the precision. The Great Pyramid is aligned almost perfectly with true north. How did they manage that 4,500 years ago, without a compass, without GPS? The stones are fitted together so tightly you can't even slip a piece of paper between them. Some people look at this and see the genius of the ancient Egyptians. Others see something more. They see a level of technical skill that seems out of place, almost otherworldly. It's a bold claim, but when you stand in the shadow of these giants, you start to wonder. The sheer scale of the operation is mind-boggling. They say it took 20 years to build the Great Pyramid. That means placing a massive, perfectly carved block every few minutes, 24 hours a day. Think about the logistics, the quarrying, the transport, the lifting. It's a project that would challenge even our modern construction companies. Now we journey to a different kind of desert, the high, dry plains of Peru. From the ground, it looks like a barren wasteland, nothing but dust and rock. But get up high, in a plain, and something incredible is revealed. Scratched into the surface of the earth are hundreds of giant figures, geoglyphs. We call them the Nazca lines. There are animals, a spider, a monkey, a hummingbird with a long beak. There are also straight lines that run for miles, perfectly straight, crisscrossing the desert floor like ancient runways. They are so big you can only truly appreciate them from the air. This is where the mystery deepens. The Nazca people created these lines between 500 BC and 500 AD. But why? Why create art so enormous that you yourself could never see it properly from the ground? Who was the intended audience? This is what gets people thinking. If you can only see these drawings from the sky, maybe they were made for someone in the sky. Were they messages? Were they giant welcome mats? Were they navigational aids for craft landing in the desert? It's a strange and compelling thought. You're standing in the middle of a giant art gallery, but the gallery's roof is the sky itself. Let's look at the figures. Some are simple, but others are incredibly detailed. The spider, for example, is anatomically correct, down to a tiny reproductive organ on the end of one leg that is only visible under a microscope. How did the Nazca know this detail? How did they scale up these complex drawings to such a massive size without a single mistake? To draw a straight line for miles across uneven terrain is a huge challenge even with modern surveying equipment. Let's leave the desert and head to the green, rolling hills of England. Here, another ancient mystery stands against the sky. Stonehenge, massive stones, some weighing up to 40 tons, arranged in a perfect circle. Some were dragged here from over 150 miles away. This was built around 5,000 years ago, long before the pyramids. The people who built it left no written records. All we have are the stones themselves, silent witnesses to a forgotten time. Again, we have to ask the same question: how did they do it? And more importantly, why? What drove them to this incredible undertaking? Stonehenge is more than just a pile of rocks, it's a precision instrument. On the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the rising sun aligns perfectly with the main axis of the stones. It's an ancient calendar, a way of tracking the seasons. This was vital for early farmers. Knowing when to plant and when to harvest was a matter of life and death. But the alignments are more complex than just that. It also seems to track the movements of the moon. It's a sophisticated astronomical observatory, built by people we think of as primitive. The level of knowledge required is staggering. This is where the idea of outside help comes back in. Could a Neolithic society, with only the most basic tools, have developed this advanced astronomical knowledge on their own? Our journey now takes us high into the Andes Mountains of Bolivia, over 12,000 feet up. The air is thin here. It's a tough place to live, let alone build a city. And yet here we find the ruins of Pumapunku. What's left is a collection of stone blocks that are unlike anything else in the world. They are made of diorite and andesite, some of the hardest stone on the planet, and they are cut with a precision that is simply breathtaking. We're talking perfectly straight lines, right angles, and drilled holes that look like they were made with a power tool. It's a mind-bending puzzle. The stones of Pumapunku are famous for their H-blocks. These are complex, interlocking shapes, all identical, as if they were mass-produced in a factory. They fit together like a giant Lego set, with no mortar. The cuts are so fine, so smooth, that it looks like the work of a laser or a diamond-tipped saw. Archaeologists tell us these were made by the Tiwanaku culture over 1,000 years ago using stone hammers and sand for polishing. But many people find that hard to believe. How do you create such perfect, intricate shapes in one of the world's hardest materials with simple hand tools? It seems impossible. The people who built Pumapunku either had a level of stonemasonry skill that has never been equaled, or they had tools that were far beyond their time. This leads to the question, where did these tools come from? Did they develop them on their own, a lost technology? Or were these tools, and the knowledge of how to use them, a gift from someone else? Visitors, perhaps? So, we've seen the massive structures, the pyramids, the lines, the stone circles. But you know, the mystery gets smaller, more personal. We find strange objects, artifacts that just don't fit the time they were found in. They look like modern technology, but they're hundreds or even thousands of years old. It's honestly like finding a smartphone in a medieval castle. It really makes you stop and think. One of the most famous is what's known as the Baghdad Battery. It's a clay pot found near Baghdad, and it's about 2,000 years old. Inside is a copper cylinder and an iron rod. When you fill it with an acidic liquid, like vinegar or grape juice, it produces a small electric current. Was it a battery? And if so, what were they using it for? The mainstream view is that it was probably used for electroplating, for putting a thin layer of gold or silver onto other objects. That's a clever use of technology. But others wonder if it was part of something bigger. Could ancient people have understood electricity? Was this a power source for some other lost device? It's a single object, but it opens up a world of possibilities. It suggests a level of scientific understanding that we don't normally associate with the ancient world. Then there are the Quimbaya artifacts, sometimes called ancient model airplanes. These are small, gold figures made by the Quimbaya civilization in Colombia, about 1,000 years ago. They look remarkably like modern jet fighters. They have wings, a fuselage, and a tail fin. Skeptics say they are just stylized insects or birds. But when you look closely, the details are strange for an animal. The wings are rigid and delta-shaped. The tail is upright and geometric, not like a bird's tail at all. In the 1990s, some engineers built scaled-up models of these figures, fitted them with engines and propellers, and they flew perfectly. Could these be representations of real flying machines that the Quimbaya people saw? The evidence isn't just in stone and gold. It's in the stories we've been telling for thousands of years. Every culture has its myths and legends, stories of gods, monsters, and heroes. We usually think of these as just stories, ways to explain the world before science. The sun is a god in a chariot. Thunder is the sound of a hammer. But what if some of these myths are not just imagination? What if they are memories? Distorted memories of real events passed down through generations. What if the gods were not supernatural beings, but physical beings who came from somewhere else? Look at the stories from around the world. In ancient India, The Hindu texts like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana speak of vimanas. These are described as flying palaces or chariots. The texts go into great detail about how they were built and how they flew. They talk of terrible weapons that could destroy entire cities, weapons that sound eerily like modern nuclear bombs. The descriptions are so vivid, so technical. Are these just the products of a rich imagination, or are they describing technology they actually witnessed? It's a chilling thought. It's the same story in different cultures. The ancient Sumerians, one of the first civilizations, wrote about the Anunnaki, beings who came down from the heavens. They were said to have given humans knowledge of farming, writing, and law. The Hopi people of Arizona have legends of Kachinas, spiritual beings who came from the sky. The Bible describes Ezekiel seeing a wheel within a wheel descending from a storm cloud, a fiery, metallic craft. Almost every ancient culture has a story of powerful teachers or gods descending from the sky to interact with humanity. Are these all just coincidences? Did every ancient culture independently invent the idea of powerful visitors from the sky? Or is it possible they were all describing the same thing, in their own words, with their own cultural understanding? If a spaceship landed today, we would use words like metal, engine, and technology. But an ancient person might describe it as a fiery chariot, a silver bird, or the throne of a god. Now, in any survival situation, you have to look at all the angles. You can't just follow one path without thinking. It's the same with this mystery. It's exciting to think about aliens and lost technology, but we have to be honest and look at the other side of the coin. Most scientists and archaeologists do not believe that aliens visited ancient Earth. They have different explanations for all these mysteries, and their arguments are strong. They believe in the power of human ingenuity. We have to hear them out. It's about getting to the truth, not just the most exciting story. Let's go back to the pyramids. The skeptics say, yes, it was an incredible achievement, but it wasn't impossible. They point to evidence of worker villages, showing that a huge labor force did live there. They have found ancient papyrus documents, like the diary of a man named Mera, which described the transport of limestone blocks by boat along the Nile. They have experimented with copper tools and found they can cut stone slowly but surely. They argue that we are underestimating our ancestors, seeing them as primitive when they were actually brilliant engineers and project managers. They say the pyramids are a monument to human potential, not alien intervention. What about the Nazca lines? Scientists point out that you don't need to fly to create them. You can design them with small models and then scale them up using simple tools like ropes and stakes. They argue the lines were likely made for ceremonial purposes, perhaps as pathways for religious processions on the ground. So, where does that leave us? We've trekked across the globe and through thousands of years of history. We've seen the evidence. We've heard both sides of the story. On one hand, we have puzzles of stone and gold, and ancient stories that seem to point to visitors from the stars. On the other, we have logical scientific explanations that celebrate the incredible achievements of our ancestors. There is no easy answer. The truth is still out there, buried in the sand, hidden in a jungle, or locked away in a forgotten language. The mystery remains. For me, the journey is what matters. The act of questioning, of exploring, of pushing the boundaries of what we think we know. Believing in ancient aliens isn't the point. The point is to look at the Great Pyramid and feel a sense of awe, to fly over the Nazca lines and wonder, to touch the stones of Stonehenge and feel a connection to the past. These mysteries ignite our curiosity. They remind us that history is not a dry collection of facts in a book. It's a living, breathing adventure with chapters still waiting to be written. The universe is a big place, unimaginably big. We are just beginning to explore our own solar system. We send probes to Mars and listen for signals from distant stars with giant radio telescopes. We know there are billions of other galaxies out there, each with billions of stars. Is it really so crazy to think that somewhere, out in that vast darkness, another intelligent life form might exist? And if they do, is it so crazy to think that they might have explored the galaxy just as we are beginning to do? That they might have found our small blue planet a long, long time ago? The final question is not, did they come, but what else is there to discover? What other ruins lie hidden beneath the waves or the ice? What other ancient texts are waiting to be translated? What secrets does our own DNA hold about our origins? The quest for knowledge is the greatest adventure of all. It requires courage, an open mind, and a willingness to face the unknown. So keep looking up, keep asking questions. The answers are out there. The expedition has only just begun. You have to be ready for what you might find.